Kimmy, are you a Republican or Democrat?
I don't
I'd
know that.
say I lean a lot more Republican, in all honesty.
What do you agree with the Republicans on?
Let's see. I definitely agree with how they're just lowering tax rates, trying to fix the economy. But let's see. I like how they're more leaning to pro-life. I'd say um, there's a lot more I agree with them. I also like the colorblind mentality they have. How you're actually judged by a character, not by the color of your skin, which is very important. Also like how they're pro security and keeping our country safe instead of doing things like, oh yeah, open borders and ended up with like what we got going on in the UK with Henry Nowak. What's your thoughts on that, good sir?
I
If you
heavily
don't mind me
disagree.
asking.
I hate the Republicans. I think they're a horrible party that rallies around a populace that tries to destroy America.
Okay, fair enough. I can see your mentality behind that. Yeah, honestly, I'm not happy with the Republican Party right now, even though I lean that way. I still feel like we're both parties are part of the same bird, even though I'm much more right-leaning. It's just kind of like either way, it's kind of pick your poison until
I
there's like a
disagree.
big change.
I think the Democratic
Okay.
Party is an amazing party, and the Republicans they insurrected the government on January 6th. They're not even a part of the same bird. They're not American. They don't have American ideals.
Actually, I do need to double check on that. I cannot quote this, so, but apparently there's things going around that with January 6th. Hold on. There's something recent that I saw from Alex Jones. Hold on. I want to
From
double
Alex
check this real quick.
Jones.
Yeah, I know, crazy guy.
He got sued.
But
How could he trust him? He got sued for libel, disinformation, something like that. How could he trust what he
libel.
says? Yeah,
Um, However, yeah, that's actually a good question. In the legal aspects of that, has he actually been charged and proven? You don't know that until the actual court case goes through and they have all the reasonable and credible evidence for
I think he has
that
been
to go
found
through.
guilty.
So let's see. Do you know? Hold on, let's see. Alex Jones libel.
Yeah,
Let's
he
see.
was found guilty.
Okay, let's see. Really? Okay, so what was it on? Let's see.
The Sandy Hook shooting.
Okay. Oh shoot. Okay, let's see. U.S. Supreme Court. Oh, actually, I haven't heard about this. Okay, you know more ball than I do. Hold on, I stand corrected. Shit, dude. Crap. So, what brought you to stand to the Democrat Party? In all honesty.
I'm a radical liberal, and I think liberalism is one of the best ideology, probably the best ideology that will ever exist. So I just rally around the more liberal party.
Okay. Okay, I see. So, what exactly, in your own words, would you describe is the ideology of liberalism? Oh, excuse me, liberalism. I can't speak, lad. That's my bad.
Self-governance, freedom of religion, f- just personal liberties, stuff like that. That's what I would define as liberalism.
That's that I agree with. That's actually those are things I 200% agree with. That's one thing I feel like is a flaw on the conservatives end because a lot of them are quote unquote pro-Christian. Even though biblically speaking, we are all like biblically allowed to choose whether we follow God and Christ or not. However, we are still as humans, it's best that we still act in a moral way, whether we choose to follow God or not. So that's I feel like that's we can both agree on those things. I'd say that's more libertarian, honestly. I'd say you sound more libertarian.
Maybe like
Let's see.
classical liberalism. That's what I'm.
Classical,
Yeah.
yes, classical. Okay, because you don't necessarily just from that alone, you don't sound very progressive. But
Well, I like social
I still have
safety
to ask
nets for and
social safety.
regulations. Yeah, I'm like a modern liberal. Yeah,
Okay,
that's just my
okay,
economic
that's
policy.
okay. Fair enough. So let's see. So what exactly are like, let's say 10 things I guess, are like policies or a type of goals that you have within for classical liberalism or how that's going to change America if those things are acted upon.
Okay, 10 things. Impeach every single Republican that supported Trump, and including Trump, for insurrection, because helping an insurrection is in itself insurrection. Increasing immigration, increasing social safety nets for like not well-off individuals, subsidizing higher education, Separating
Okay.
church and state even more, removing power from
I
the
agree with that. I
executives.
agree with separate church and state 200%.
Yeah,
That's actually something I agree with.
and then yeah, remove power from the executive. I think there's six, but like those are the main points that need to happen right now.
Okay, so what exactly would happen if you remove power from the executive, though? Wouldn't that actually cause all of... That's actually kind of scary because here's the thing. You have all the three different branches, right? They're supposed to balance each other out. If you take away that power from the executive, that means there's going to be huge power disbalance. And what that's going to end up doing is it's going to give an excessive amount of power to the legislative or judicial, which can end up screwing us over.
But
But
that's
I
what
think,
the legislative has done. They've given power to the executive, like for tariffs and things like that. That power should be taken back to the legislative, like for tariffs.
okay,
That's one thing.
fair enough. And what's your thoughts on the tariffs and how they've been affecting us?
I hate tariffs. I love free trade. Like
Okay.
trade is not a zero sum game. We should trade helps all nations that engage with it. So tariffing nations is just so ridiculous.
Okay, fair. I can see the vision behind that. You do have actually that's not a bad point. I would say, however, the one thing I'd say that tariffs are actually good, I'd say is specifically for America is then we can start hopefully getting down that trillions of dollars of debt. I know we won't because we sent it another 5 billion to our glorious king Netanyahu.
Yeah.
We all love him, we really do, but unfortunately we're kind of cooked there. Um, let's see, but I definitely agree with separating church and state, specifically because a lot of like, as a Christian myself, what I notice is a lot of people um, are that say they're Christian are not. So like less than 25% of the people are actually Christian, and they just do it for the politics. That's why I really dislike Trump because he's the that one post that where he's like have like the robe and whatever, looked like the Messiah or whatever.
Oh
And
my god.
how do you, dude? That's blasphemy, dude. People are so stupid.
I know.
Genuinely, it's like, I mean, come on. I'd say okay. I liked his first term, but this second term, I've despised. I've
No new wars. Yeah.
remember our policies. We've detected language that may violate Roblox. Okay, be quiet. Anyways, but yeah. So let's see. But yeah, we do agree on separate church and state. Let's see. Tariffs, I'm iffy on. I need to do more research on that. Okay, so that's two things we agree with. So what's the thing about the education that you're talking about? Like, was it high education or whatever
Yeah, like I'm getting my
that you want
first
to
two
see?
free years of college, my two for free. I think that's a good thing. I think
Really? Okay.
I think all students should have that ability to engage in higher education more. I think the government should subsidize that.
Okay, I see the vision behind that. However, one, you have to think about where you're going to get that money, and two, because labor that requires labor, and we should not be entitled to the labor of other individuals unless that can be paid for. So if the government is able to pay those like professors and institutions a substantial amount of money, so those students can be taught higher education for free, then absolutely go ahead. I think that's smart. However, here's the problem. If you end up with, okay, bro, is that the 9/11, bro? Bro, that caught me off guard. Holy crap.
Wow. Little rude. Oh my god. Oh my god. Why is it so loud?
Oh,
Sorry, I don't know why that was sent 3 times, but I like the effect that it just
that was
came out.
exquisite. Oh my gosh. Dude,
I was
oh
like,
my,
are they
holy
gonna get
jump scare.
really mad or they're gonna mess with it? I appreciate
That's
that.
great. That's great. 10 out of 10. Very Google worthy. Caught me off guard.
Did
But
you
I'd
say very
say
good worthy?
no, no, not dude worthy.
Yo,
No,
what the
I
hell?
said giggle worthy. Giggle
Get
worthy.
yourself under
Let's
control,
get our head
man.
straight. Let's get our head straight. Let's lock in place. Otherwise, I'll send you to the island. Not my island, but
Oh.
Yes,
Okay, I didn't lock in.
sorry.
That's crazy.
I don't want to be in the files. Sorry.
Okay, but
Okay.
limited. Are you a Republican or Democrat?
I'm an independent. I'm just here to like listen and occasionally contribute.
Okay.
Fair. Sorry.
I would
Oh
say
gosh,
I
allergies.
actually I don't know in this stage.
Yeah,
If you asked me like a
allergies.
year ago, I'd say I was Republican leaning, but now I'm just like, on the fence of everything.
How could you be
Rational, fair enough.
Republican leaning after January 6th? I mean, that was like horrible.
The insurrection. This was 20. I keep
21.
forgetting. It's not this January. Yeah. It was honestly like I was around my family a lot and they were my family is very right leaning.
Sorry to hear
So it
that.
was being around that constantly and then and then I went off for college and then I was around like obviously more liberal like-minded people. So I'm like, okay, yeah. And then just like everything that happened that presidency, so I'm like,
Yeah, but
oh
it was
guys, we can't do that again.
that was an insurrection. That was like one of the worst things that ever happened in the history of American democracy.
hmm
So how could he be Republican leaning after that?
Genuinely,
I'd say there's
I
some
honestly
context
can't.
that's missing. Sorry, continue first, and then I'll make my claim. That's my bad.
No, no, no,
Go
no,
ahead.
no, you're good. I'm just trying to collect everything, but from
Yeah,
what
collect
I
your
can
thoughts. You're
see,
good.
yeah.
He's stumbling so hard. Oh my
Because
god.
I would want to give like a better, more fleshed out answer, but honestly, you just had a large part of just being around that group of people so much, and like in that family, obviously, like, you can't really have a differing opinion, so you kind of have to like, you know what, yeah, you're right, and then everybody's giving their opinions and they're biasing it, so it makes it sound like, oh, the other side is wrong,
That's fair, yeah.
and then just like growing out of that is like, oh, and then you kind of like start to form your own thoughts. I feel like once you move away from a family.
Okay. Okay. But what were you saying, Kimmy, about the context?
I've one thing that I've been researching. I'm actually researching right now. I think because from what I'm seeing, there has been for a while a circulation of clips of officers over at the Capitol when it happened. They were actually actively letting these individuals in. I can do not quote me on that because I do not know for sure. Trying to see what I can find.
Yeah, they were doing that because
Uh,
their lines have been breached. People broke into the Capitol and they were being surrounded, so they did have to fall back and let people in. Unfortunately, Trump didn't send the National Guard, so they didn't have enough manpower to stop the rioters.
That's an interesting point. From what I remember, also Trump did before the January 6th incident happened. He asked Nancy Pelosi multiple times to reinforce security. However, she deliberately refused to do so, which
No,
is
that's
quite
on
odd.
him. He has the final say. He's the president at the time. He has control over the
Okay,
National
let me
Guard.
double check. Let's hold on. Let me double check that. Because I'm actually low key interested on this. Let's see.
No, I was honestly curious because I was like recalling of when that happened. Granted, it was like years ago, but they were saying at least like for the whole Republican side of things, were like, yeah, that was is staged the right word? Like it was set up. I think that was
It feels set
what
up,
Yeah, it
they
was
were
set up
like
by
in my
meant
Trump.
to
opinion.
be.
But
Yeah, he set up that whole thing to have himself illegally made president.
let's. Okay, refuse. Okay, let's
So
go
are
ahead and
you
find
both
out.
Democrats?
I'm
No, just me.
Republican, actually. A lot more Republican. I don't
Mm.
like identifying with them, but I'd say
hmm
I'm a lot more right leaning.
Yeah, I
Let's
feel like
see.
right in this day and age, it's like kind of hard to publicly identify with either one without
Marketing
assumptions being
wise,
made.
I don't
Yeah.
want to get murdered for that. That's ridiculous. I mean, come
Mm-hmm.
on. It's just insane. Okay, so let's see. What are we seeing? Okay, hold on.
Yeah,
Okay.
unrelated or kind of unrelated, but because of the whole like recent Love Island drop, everybody's like, "Oh, they're Republican, vote them out," or "They voted this way, vote them out." Which I
That's
don't know.
ridiculous. Holy.
Yeah, it just speaks to what's going on right now.
That's
Okay.
based. Yeah, I support that.
What we're seeing, according to, let's see. According to the USCP, President Trump did not have the final say on day-to-day Capitol security enforcement for during the date of January 6, 2021. The structure of U.S. Capitol security places primary responsibility with the U.S. Capitol Police and the Capitol Police Board, not the president. And okay, so who's the chain of command?
So why didn't he send the National Guard to fend off the rioters?
Let's see, that's a good question. Miller and others. presidential. What the heck? Hold on. So Miller and the others interpreted this as general guidance or presidential banter, quote unquote, quote end quote, not a direct order for 10,000. That's ridiculous. Why would you?
Yeah, they didn't expect tens of thousands of people to go and storm the Capitol. But they didn't imagine the president inciting that. That's kind of reasonable to believe.
Trump asked for 10,000 troops, and they said okay. Yeah, we're just not gonna because it's just presidential banter. Okay, that doesn't make any sense. One understanding: Trump did not call Miller to the Pentagon or issue a direct order during the riot to accelerate deployment, according to what we're seeing multiple accounts. Let's see. But Trump did release a video message around 4:17 p.m. telling supporters to, and I quote, "Go home," end quote. But it did come too late, I'd say.
Yeah, well, he already told them to
Uh,
fight and fight like hell, and if you don't fight, don't have a country anymore. I mean, he said many inciting things that riled these people up to do heinous crimes against our country. You can't just say, "Okay, go home, guys." That doesn't absolve him of what he's done.
okay, let's see. So what we are seeing, because I remember that. I can double check that video. It's that fight like hell video. Hold on.
Yeah.
Let's see what I can find on that.
I mean, BBC edited a clip with him saying stuff before that, but he did say those exact words. It doesn't matter what order he said it compared to
Okay.
the other speech. He still said that.
Okay, let's see. It was delivered at the Safe America rally. Let's see. Uh, okay, let's see. What can I find? Okay, so we're seeing for. Okay, that's a wonderful summary. Trump and allies claimed widespread fraud in the 2020 election, which claims widely rejected by courts, officials, and recounts. The rally drew thousands of supporters to Washington, D.C. Other speakers, including Donald Trump Jr. and Rudy Giuliani, preceded him. Used strong language, urging action at the Capitol. Okay. Speech duration left roughly over 70 minutes. Trump repeated election fraud claims, criticized media and Republicans, including pressuring VP Mike Pence, and urged the crowd to march to the Capitol. Notable excerpts, he said, and I quote, "I know that everyone here will be soon marching over to the Capitol to oh. I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard."
That
End
doesn't
quote.
absolve him of insurrection. He still committed
Closing.
insurrection.
Closing. Here's the closing. We fight like hell, and if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
Okay, how do you
That's
fight
the thing.
peacefully? How do you fight peacefully?
So you are taking, what I understand, you're taking this quote quite literally. It's like,
Yeah, I'm
oh,
taking
you
it quite
fought,
literally
you go
because
and
people
killed
went over there and beat up cops. That's why I'm taking it literally. People went and fought
Yeah.
them. That's why I'm taking it. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, let's see what happened there. So let's see.
Yeah,
So,
and him saying
Copper beat
peaceful and
up-
patriotic, that does not absolve him of insurrection. I hope you know.
Okay, let's see. Whose phone is that?
I just let up another guy.
Oh, fair enough. I'll have to fight you. Hold on. My bad. I was looking at something else. Oh, that's January.
You
It
showed
was
me the,
January 6th, right? Okay, yeah, it was.
yeah. You showed me the reading the definition of insurrection, and we could debate on that. Okay, he's 8 years old.
Let's see. So what doesn't make sense is that Donald Trump has not been found guilty of insurrection.
You
related
don't need to be
January
found
6th
guilty
anymore.
for insurrection. It's not a criminal
And he
charge.
has never been charged with or tried for or convicted of the insurrection.
That's not how insurrection
The
is
impeachment
defined.
happened. The impeachment happened so that the House impeached him for indictment of insurrection shortly after the riot, and the let's see, the Senate acquitted him 57-43, short of the 2/3 needed. And let's see, we have the.
Yeah, but you're getting the definition of insurrection wrong. You can't be charged with insurrection. That's not how the definition works. It's not a criminal charge.
Okay, well, definition of insurrection. Let's see, it's an organized, usually violent uprising against an established
No.
government.
Let's use the U.S. code. Let's use the U.S. code. Whoever incites, sets on foot, assists, or engage in any rebellion or insurrection against the authority of the United States or the laws therefore of, or gives aid or comfort thereto, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 10 years or both, and shall be incapable of holding any office under the United States. So what he did was go against the Electoral Count Act when he tried to have Mike Pence sign the 7 false slate of electors, which is insurrection.
So according to the Legal Information Use Institute, you're seeing that what I'm seeing is that the U.S. Code does not explicitly define the standalone word insurrection in a single dictionary style paragraph. What we're seeing is it defines it as a. Okay, let's see. It defines it as a. Okay, you're right about that. It defines it as, and I quote, it's federal crime by outlawing the act. Oh, excuse me, I cannot speak, dude. My bad. That's a question. Did he not? Let me think about this.
I mean, what do you disagree with? Why do you think he didn't commit an insurrection?
Just something about it just never seemed super complete. And even then, I don't get why. Just the legal side and how the government handled it, the entirety of everyone, the lack of communication seemed like deliberate. Um, it's like that they were like, how do I put this? Like forks in the road deliberately placed to prevent aid being given. One of them I'm gonna have to fact check. From
Well,
what
it
I
was
heard,
Trump's government.
with the
That
Nancy
was
Pelosi thing.
it was Trump's government. It wasn't.
Okay,
It was Trump's FBI. It was Trump's
so
everything.
I'd say, okay, I'd say according to, is it? Oh yeah, hold on. Oh, okay. This is what it's called. Okay, it's the 18 USC, whatever that syllable is, 2030, 2383. Okay, that's what it's called. I would say by that alone, he would have not been determined to have incited, aided, assisted, or engaged in a
Well, he was
insurrection.
impeached for
Uh,
insurrection, which means he committed insurrection.
okay, let's see.
Well,
It's strictly an indictment, meaning it does not remove the president. Okay, that's obviously nonsense. But it's basically whenever someone's impeached, it's just an accusation. It's not until actual charges and things are
how
given.
do you get impeached?
Impeach is an accusation, dude. It's like, okay, think about it like, when someone gets like accused of a crime, it's the same thing. You can like that's literally to me the same thing, except it's for the president. It's like, okay, we're impeaching you. We don't like. We're accusing you of doing this, and now we're gonna have you held accountable and see whether you're guilty or not. That's what impeachment is. So that does not mean he's guilty. That just means he's accused of the crime. And what we're seeing through that impeachment, the impeachment fell through. Therefore, he is not guilty because they did not have substantial evidence.
Yeah, but they could still convict and give a penalty for the impeached person.
Hold on, let me double check. So you're saying with the
Yeah, the Constitution requires a two-thirds vote of the Senate to convict, and the penalty for an impeached official upon conviction is removal from office.
and what they did was, from what I understand, hold on. What was the vote on? I just double checked because it fell through, but I forgot what the vote was. Hold on, what?
So yeah, the Senate does have power when they impeach people. It's more than just an
Okay, let's
accusation.
see. So it was 232 to 197. Let's see. And it was 222 Democrats voted to impeach, 0 against. Holy shit, yeah, that's expected. 10 Republicans voted to impeach, 197 were against it. Let's see, that's obviously the impeachment is like, hey, we're going to go through with this and actually like take this to the court. And let's see, then the Senate trial vote came in. The Senate convened to hold an impeachment trial convention requires a 2/3 majority, and let's see, the total vote was 57 guilty, 43 not guilty. Let's see, Democrats voted 57. Okay, yep. So the 7 Republican senators across because the votes for conviction fell short of. Donald Trump was acquitted of the charges because it fell short of the required 2/3 threshold. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. So he is acquitted.
Well, that
But he
doesn't.
didn't get the 2/3.
That's not how insurrection is defined. It's not like
Dude,
there's no attempted insurrection. This is still insurrection. Nowhere it says you have to be found guilty for you to be he's still an insurrectionist.
by definition, hold on.
By
I
definition,
literally
he
read
went
back to
against the
you by.
laws, therefore, of the United
Okay,
States Electoral
is the
Count Act.
definition what you're going by? Just for clarification, the USC what you call it, US code, correct? The definition
Yeah,
is
code
that the one you're going with?
2383.
Okay, so now there was you have to keep in mind with that. Um, what you're saying is that there was a rebellion or insurrection against U.S. authority laws. The defendant incited, assisted, or engaged in or give aid or comfort to it.
Yes.
Intent in he did not do that by concrete definition.
Why did he say fight and fight like hell? How is that not giving comfort and aid to that insurrection? He said many times that this election was fake. This was not a real election. It was 80 million computer votes. Like he said many times, how is that not giving aid?
That is not giving aid because he's not actually saying, "Hey, we're going to revolt and insurrect." That is the definition of insurrection.
No, it does not say
Like,
you have to say go insurrect somebody to be an insurrectionist. Nowhere does it says. It just says you give aid or comfort to. It doesn't say how you give aid or comfort to. As long as you do that, you are an insurrectionist.
So by the definition, he did not give aid or comfort to it.
Yes, he did.
Did he?
Yes.
Really?
He get comfort to by reassuring their lies by saying this election was false. You need to fight and fight like hell, or you won't have a country anymore. How is that not giving comfort to the insurrectionists?
Now, okay. So when you mean with insurrection, that's going against the country's interest in the law. Whenever they mean, so wait, hold on.
The law
So
they're
the
going
quote
against
was-
is the Electoral Count Act. That's the law they're going against.
Okay, so by going against that law, you mean
Saying that this is
how are they
false.
going
This
against that?
law
How are
was.
they break? Okay.
Yeah, this law is not real. It was. He ran away. What a pussy. Oh my god.